Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing great. To be completely honest with you, I hadn't planned on filming this video. I was just thinking about a lot of things and what I've lived and like my experiences, and I was just like, you know what, living in Miami was an incredible experience and it impacted my life quite a bit. Even though it was hard at times, I still think that it was one, if not the best experience I've got in my 25 years on this planet. This experience of living in Miami and working there for an internship really impacted very different aspects of my life. And like people might think, yeah, it's just like being away from your family and working somewhere different, but honestly it was so much more than that. So I've kind of divided it into categories because I organized everything, and I was like, it's going to be easier to explain if I have different categories to talk about. So the first one, which I think is kind of the most obvious one for some people, is how it impacted me and my family. To put back some context, I went to do an internship in Miami for 2 months, so 9 weeks, from May to July 2013. I was 18, I was about to turn 19 in August that year, and as part of my post A-level course in international trade, we were to do an internship abroad. So I applied different areas. I was very interested by, of course, any English-speaking country. And I don't even remember how. An older student, a second year student, told me that the year before when he had applied to a real estate agency in Miami, and he actually had been accepted, but he got one from someone in LA and he accepted the one in LA. So he was like, if you want to have some contact info to give to you. And so of course I was like, yeah, give them to me and I'll apply and we'll see how it goes. I was not really expecting anything from it because I had applied a little bit and didn't hear back. So I was not too hopeful for anything. And so I applied, and don't even remember how long after I got accepted, which was so weird and stressful. And the one accepting me was not the one I had applied to, like the same person. The one I was writing to initially was due to work for another location, and so she could not accept or anything because she was in the process of moving agencies. And but another one, I will just say that her name was Brenda, said that she would be very happy to welcome me and have me over with her team. And so of course I said that I didn't mind at all and that I was super excited. And that was, I think, in November before going, so that was pretty early on in the year. So I was really happy about that because my others, like friends, were struggling quite a bit to find internships. We were not paid for it, but still, like, agencies found it maybe a bit too annoying or time consuming to have someone with them. And so I was super excited, booked my tickets, and then it dawned on me what it meant. I was still young. I had turned 18 like 3-4 months before that, and it meant like being away from my family for a long time, and my family is in France. I had to be very, very, very far away from my family for a long time, which I hadn't done for that long of a time. Like, I think my longest was maybe 5 weeks, but I was still with my grandparents in Portugal, so that was still family. And other than that, I think it was like 10 days when we were doing like a pen pal trip 2 or 3 years prior to that. So I was like, okay, that's gonna be a bit difficult. So that was really something I was scared about. I was like, can you do this on your own? Are you able to do this? Like, isn't this a bit too much for you? Like, I hadn't realized that at that time that for a year and a half my anxiety was really bad. I didn't realize it was anxiety until like a couple years after, actually, but at that time, now that I know what it was, I know that it was really bad. So thankfully, in a way, it didn't impact my decision to go, but still it was something to take into account, that I was still young and that I had never done anything like that before. So yeah, that was like something a bit scary, and so we wanted to make sure that the experience would be positive, so we looked for host families. I had looked for apartments before, couldn't find anything, and I think that was just a sign that that was not what I was supposed to do. So I looked for host families, and I got the help from the agency who is used to doing that. So found a family through that. I was super relieved when we got the news, because it was super late in the process. I think we got the news and the name and of the people in the family I think 10 days before I was due to leave, which is very late. My mom was in the States. I was in the state as well, but my mom. And so I was relieved. The mother was a single mother, and she was a teacher, and my mom is a teacher, primary teacher. So I was like, oh my God, that's going to be so similar to being at home. That's going to be great. She was living with her son, who was 25 and was studying for, I think it was dentist or something. And she was actually hosting another young man, Javier, who was from Mexico, and he was doing studies to learn English there. So that was amazing. The family was Puerto Rican, so I knew I would be in a Hispanic family, and I was studying Spanish as well at school. So I was like, yeah, I'm from a Portuguese family, so I'm very used to people talking in another language and having a different culture. So I was like, that's going to be so amazing, and I was so excited. And so the hardest part, I think, was the few days before. My sister was crying every night. My mother was nervous. My dad was nervous. I was very nervous. My boyfriend was very sad, and I think nervous as well, because we didn't really know what would happen once I would get there. And so even though I was super excited, I was a bit nervous, but I think this was one of the most positive things that I've got from this experience, because I was very lucky to be in a family who took amazing care of me. Ricky and Javier became my brothers. We would talk for hours at night over dinner and after dinner, and they would walk with me to the supermarket when I had to buy blister plasters, and they would take me shopping and go to the beach with me, and just to have conversations. We did that actually. Javier went with me to the mall, and we spent a day shopping because I had to buy clothes for the office, and Ricky and I spent an entire day on the beach just talking, and it was one of the best conversations I've ever had. And that was incredible, and I'm so thankful for this, because honestly, those are memories I'm holding very close to my heart. Unfortunately though, I was not able to stay in the family for the entirety of my trip to Miami, for my stay in Miami. Nancy was so incredible that she would volunteer every summer to teach children in, I think it was El Salvador. So the agency was not comfortable basically with me staying with the two guys, even though I told them repeatedly that they were really to be trusted with, and I'm someone who is very suspicious naturally and stuff like that, but honestly, I could not have felt safer with them at all, but they still didn't want me to stay with them. So I had to move families, and I moved to another part of Miami. I was in North Miami Beach, and I had to move to Central Miami. So completely different neighborhood, didn't have to take the same buses, which was very overwhelming in the middle of the trip, because I was like, I'm so used to everything right now, and then boom, everything has to change. My route every day to go to my internship had to change, and I didn't know my surroundings. I was with a woman who was, I was just with her, and she was absolutely amazing. She was adorable. She was from the Dominican Republic, and incredible. She took me with her friends to go to the beach and stuff like that. It was amazing, but she was working a lot, so I was a lot on my own as well. And other things happened during that stay that I will talk about later on. But yeah, that it was another experience. She didn't have Wi-Fi though, which upset my mother to another level because it meant that I could not Skype my family. I could not like talk to them over Messenger or anything like that, which was difficult. But like I had to go to another cafe, but like she had to drive me to another cafe so that I could Skype them, and it was just an ordeal in itself. I was also very, very lucky because I got to have the best work experience I could ever have dreamt of, really. Brenda, the woman who agreed to be my tutor, was incredible. She was an amazing woman. She was so strong. She was fierce. She was incredible. Her and her team, they were explaining everything to me. They were taking me on viewings. They were taking me to like go to open houses. Every chance they got to teach me something, they would do it without even thinking about it. It came naturally to them, and it was incredible, and this whole experience was amazing. And when I give people my resume, that's always something they ask about. They're like, oh my God, you've done an internship in Miami? How did it go? And it always sparks a conversation, even between people I was in class with. Like, oh my God, how did it go? And like, how was it? And like, it's something people want to talk about because they're curious, but because it's so interesting. And like, I'm so happy I got to do this, and I'm very grateful and thankful to the people who agreed to take me on. And just, even though, you know, like people sometimes say, yeah, but you were not paid, it doesn't matter. They took a lot of time out of their day just to be with me, and when bad stuff happened, they would always talk with me and like make sure I was okay, and they would go to length to make sure that everything went as smoothly as possible. And I was incredibly sad when I had to leave, and actually Brenda offered to like she was like, don't you want to take a training and stay here and like become a real estate agent? And I was like, no, I have to go back to France and finish my studies. But you know, like just saying that was so nice. And yeah, that was really a way that this internship impacted me like so immensely, really. Like bad things, like scary things and challenging things happened when I was there. Like I think during my first week I was waiting for the bus, and I think you could tell that it didn't know what I was really looking for, that I was not comfortable. And a guy came up and started talking to me, and it was like, yeah, where are you from, where you're here and whatever. And actually he just was trying to sell me a green card. So you know, like that taught me that be careful of people way more than you're doing, because you're a bit naive. A lot of catcalling. I mean, it was Miami. It was like 95 degrees, so like about 35 plus degrees Celsius most days. The humidity was awful, and so of course you're going to wear skirts, and they were not at all short, because I'm very short, so even short skirts go to my knee. So I was really not trying. I had like trousers and stuff like that, or dresses that were long as well. I would still be catcalled all the time in the street, with cars stopping next to me and be like, hey girl, you want to ride? And I had my headphones and my sunglasses, and I would not answer, and at some point they would get angry. And then when I was living at my second host family, she was living in a gated community, so I thought I was kind of safe. Like inside I was, for sure I was. There were guards, you know, like where you were to come in and everything, but actually there was a shooting just in front of one of the entrances. A guy got shot because two kids were trying to like steal, I think it was his phone or something. But the worst thing, I think, was I think it was like 2 weeks and a half before I was due to leave. I was in the bus, and basically the bus is like the first row. So you enter and you have face-to-face seats, and then you have seats where you sit back to back. So you enter and you're face-to-face, and then you're back to back. And so I was in the first row of the front seat, look facing forward, and a guy, like really nothing that would trigger my warnings. Male, about maybe mid-20s. Just really don't even look again. I was so tired from my day, and I think I was listening to music or something, but I had kept my sunglasses. It's very bright in Miami, and I had learned from the green card experience that that's a way for people not to be able to see your eyes and your expressions. And so I had kept them, and I was listening to music, and I remember he had a flip phone, and so he was like this. It's not a flip phone, but that will do. It was like this, and at some point he moved, and I was right back, and I saw that I could see the front, like just in front of him, the people in front of him. So when he was moving back into position, it was me, and he was actually filming. And so my heart started to race, and my anxiety was very high. And I was like, what am I going to do? Why is he filming? Why me? Like, what am I doing? And he kept doing it for 10, 15 minutes. I could not contact my host mother on my phone because my phone is French, and like it could not work there. And I was texting my mom, I don't even remember, to be honest. I'm not even sure, because I didn't want to stress her out, because it was 6 hours ahead in France, so middle of the night. And so I was like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? A woman was sitting next to me, and it was starting to get busy in the bus, but I had to get off. And I was like, what if he follows me? Because he's very capable of that. What if he follows me? Because he kept checking every time someone was getting off that I was not getting off. I could tell, and he was right in front of me. And so I don't even remember how that happened. Like, just before my stop, I pulled the cord, and I just asked the woman sitting next to me in a low voice, can you move so that I can get off? And so she did it very quickly, and I could see in his face, he didn't know if he was supposed to make a move. He was annoyed and surprised that I was getting off. And so he was like, if I follow her now, people will be able to tell, and got off the bus super quickly. And there was a gas station just in the middle, and so I was like, if I can see that he's following me, I will go and talk to someone. I got off, my heart was pounding, I could hear it in my ears, and I looked behind me, and he was not there. And so I was feeling very relieved, but I don't even remember really the walk home. I think I was half like running, and then when I got to my host mother's house, she wasn't there as most nights, and I called my mom, and I just bawled my eyes out, and she was super scared, and she was like, you're not taking the bus home any day of the week, any day until you're getting home. I don't care how much it's going to be. He knows where you take the bus, where you stop. There's no way you're taking it back. And so he then texted my boyfriend to tell him, because I was in the States. I was in a bad state. And then my host mother came back, and I told her, and weirdly enough, she didn't take it like that bad. She was like, yeah, maybe, like, I'm sure you didn't mean any harm. And I'm like, I don't care, I don't know. I was feeling really bad, and the next day I told Brenda and I told the girls, and they were shocked. And they were like, yeah, there's no way you're taking the bus back. I don't care if we have to drive you down to your host mother's house. And they were living in Fort Lauderdale, so that was way not in where they were heading. And so took the taxi every day to get home after, because honestly I could not, like, in the morning I was going to the office, so I didn't really mind, but at night I could not do it. And I think for a few years after, it was why I could not really take public transports. I could take them with someone, but not on my own, for sure. And even though I was with someone I trusted, like my boyfriend, I was incredibly nervous. Every time someone was on the phone, I was scared, and for weird reasons. But yeah, I just feel like it was PTSD maybe in some way. I don't really know. I feel like this experience really that showed me that I was way more capable than I thought I was. And I feel so proud that I did that, and I feel empowered by everything that I've learned about myself and what I'm capable of during this internship. You know, I got to experience what it's like to live in a family from another culture and to have fake brothers, and to work abroad and to work in an amazing team of amazing women who were so strong and so incredible. And for that, I'm able to forget the bad stuff that happened. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this is a very long video. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you've stayed until the end because I keep making very long videos and I'm sorry about that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you're doing amazing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!